I'm Norwegian Joe. Welcome to another video where I talk about Norwegian because that's kind of my thing. So in today's short video, I'll be talking about the word gjerne, which is a very useful adverb that you can use in a lot of different contexts. And it's one of those words that's kind of unique and it helps to understand when we use it and what it really is. So, have you heard the word gjerne being thrown into somewhat random sentences in the Norwegian language? Well, gjerne is one of those Norwegian words that don't really have a perfect equivalent in English. So it's essentially an adverb that adds a layer of expressed desire or a feeling of willingness, almost like something you hypothetically could want to do. To compare it to English, you can think of the word gladly and how you might want to use that in a sentence, but gjerne is way more natural and common to use. For example, jeg vil gjerne spise means that you want to eat or that you would like to eat. And it adds a layer of just like, like that's something I would like to do. So gjerne just adds the notion that if you had the opportunity, eating would be nice. Jeg vil gjerne spise. Secondly, jeg kan gjerne ta oppvasken. Jeg kan gjerne ta oppvasken. I can do the dishes. Or I will gladly do the dishes. You know, in English when you say, I will gladly do the dishes, it sounds like that's your highest desire. That's not really the case with gjerne. Saying, jeg kan gjerne ta oppvasken just means like, hey, like, I'm willing to do the dishes. That's something I could do, and I don't mind doing it, you know? In another scenario, you could be at a store, and they'd be like, do you want to pay with your card, or do you want to pay cash? And you'd be like, jeg vil gjerne betale med kort. Jeg vil gjerne betale med kort. I would like to pay with my card. So yeah, hypothetical desire, hypothetical willingness, or just a general like, yeah, that's something I could do, is kind of the feeling you get from the word gjerne. For example, let's say I want to go to Italy. I could say, jeg vil gjerne dra til Italia. Jeg vil gjerne dra til Italia. And this word gjerne, again, just implies that, hypothetically, if I had the opportunity, then I would gladly go to Italy. That'd be really nice, actually. So, one way to describe how this adverb is used is that you just add a layer of willingness and politeness to your sentence. And if you notice in my examples right now, because gjerne is treated as an adverb, I put it after my verbs, just in the sentence order. One thing that's also good to know is that you can use gjerne to reply with friendliness. So if someone asks you, vil du ha en kopp kaffe? Do you want a cup of coffee? Vil du ha en kopp kaffe? You could say, ja, gjerne. And it's really just kind of like saying yes, please, but it has kind of, gratitude embedded into it. So, ja, gjerne would be your answer, and it's just another way of saying, ja, jeg vil gjerne ha en kopp kaffe. And another kind of example of that would be, just going further with like the coffee scenario. If they say, vil du sitte her eller ta med? Do you want to sit here or do you want to take the coffee with you? You could be like, sitte her gjerne. It's an incomplete sentence, but it makes sense. Sitte her gjerne. Sit here, I would like to. Or making it a full sentence, you could say, jeg vil gjerne sitte her. But I just find myself, when I'm at a cafe and they ask that question, I'm like, sitte her gjerne. Or ta med gjerne. If you practice using it, and if you practice the sentences in which it's natural to use it, it's one of those words that has the potential to make your Norwegian sound very natural and native, which I think, at least for me, when I'm learning languages, I try to pay extra attention to those words because English has it, French has it, For me, I'm learning Korean, and all those languages, like, they have those words that people just use like here and there, and it's quite different to how other languages might use similar words, but it makes you sound like you know what you're doing, which is the case with gjerne, in my opinion. And next up, I want to show you how you can use gjerne to mean feel free to. If I want to say, like, feel free to call me if there is anything, you could say ring meg gjerne hvis det noe. Ring meg gjerne hvis det noe. So in that context, gjerne would be an appropriate word to use. I could say something like legg gjerne igjen en kommentar hvis du likte denne videoen. Feel free to leave a comment if you liked this video. Legg gjerne igjen en kommentar hvis du likte denne videoen. Å legge igjen means to leave. Så legg gjerne igjen en kommentar hvis du likte denne videoen. Gjerne can also be used in sentences to imply words like likely or probably or most often, usually. So, for example, like, det gjerne 2 stykker på jobb om morgenen. There are usually 2 people at work in the morning. Det gjerne 2 stykker på jobb om morgenen. In this context, gjerne means usually or most often. And you could also say something like, det gjerne gamle folk som tar bussen klokka 12. It is most often old people who take the bus at 12 o'clock. Det gjerne gamle folk som tar bussen klokka 12. So what you're saying is that most of the time, usually, old people are the ones who take the bus at 12 o'clock. This time of year, people make fårikål, which is one of our traditional dishes. It's basically just boiled cabbage and, like, lamb. It's not that interesting, but it's very common for people to make it in the fall.
Sit. Ja, fint.
So I could say something like, folk lager gjerne fårikål om høsten. People, usually, or most often, or very commonly, make fårikål in the fall. Folk lager gjerne fårikål om høsten. So I use the word gjerne to say that this is something that people do. It's like a habit, right? So if I wanted to describe a habit, using the word gjerne can be appropriate. Let's say I'm talking about a lecture at university that I'm attending, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, usually there are about 100 people attending this lecture. I could say, det kommer gjerne 100 stykker på denne forelesningen. Det kommer gjerne 100 stykker på denne forelesningen. And the reason why I'm saying stykker to mean people is just like, I could say 100 mennesker, like 100 humans, but stykker is like a lot of time the word that we use for counting people. 2 stykker could mean 2 people or 2 of a thing. So it's a word that we use for counting things. Yeah. Going forward with habits, let's say I eat fish twice a week. Usually eat fish twice a week. I can say, jeg spiser gjerne fisk 2 ganger I uka. Not necessarily a habit that's set in stone, but a habit with an element of willingness, where I also like eating fish twice a week, and that's something I would be willing to do. It's also what I usually do. So then gjerne would be a good word to use. Actually, Helsedirektoratet, the Norwegian Directorate of Health, says that you should eat fish for dinner 2 or 3 times a week. At least that's their advice. And a lot of people try to follow that. I also saw, like, if you go down here, their address is Vitaminveien 4, Vitamin Road 4. That's very funny and cute. Lastly, there's a fixed expression called Lykke gjerne. And it's something that you may hear in certain settings. And in fact, if we go to, like, ordbøkene.no, a site that I can recommend if you feel comfortable reading about words in Norwegian. And let's scroll all the way down. Yeah, here it is. Faste uttrykk. like gjerne. Brukt for å uttrykke at et alternativ like akseptabelt som et annet. It's used to express that one alternative is just as acceptable as another alternative. Jeg kan like gjerne lese som å se på TV. I can just as well read as watch TV. Det kan like gjerne være slik. It can, or it may just as well be this way. So right now I'm thinking at the top of my head, like, it may just as well, that it's basically the same as, oh, it can just as well be this, so just as well would be a translation. Du kan like gjerne gå på tur som å gå på ski. You might as well go skiing as go hiking. So like gjerne means might as well. Jeg kan like gjerne vaske stua, nå som jeg også har vasket kjøkkenet. I might as well clean the living room now that I've cleaned the kitchen. That's a fixed expression, and it's very useful. That's it for today. I'm going to try to leave a PDF in the description for those of you who want to go through the sentences that I mentioned in this video. And also, if you just want to have something to look back on, you can grab that. And I think Norwegian is cool. I'm happy that you're learning with me, and see you next time. Bye!